another episode of Anime. I'm Will, and I'm joined here by
Lewis.
We're going to be talking about Bleach today.
Yep. Where to start?
That is a very good question. I'm going to say we should focus on probably the first and second series, given that they're probably the most popular, and how the characters are introduced, because over those two seasons a lot of characters are introduced, and yet they're still handled quite well. Some of them
are a bit questionable.
yeah. So the anime starts with Ichigo, who is a normal 15-year-old boy, even if he is that tall, who can see ghosts. He sees a Soul Reaper named Rukia Kuchiki fighting Hollows, which are sort of these ghosts gone bad, and Soul Reapers are there to make spirits pass on and kill these Hollows. Later on, a Hollow attacks him and his family, and the Soul Reaper Rukia gives up her powers in order to give him Soul Reaper powers. Already we've got introduced there two very important characters, probably the two main characters. Ichigo is straight away presented as a sort of idiot hero type character.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's shown as having great potential, but is a bit of a greenhorn. Rukia is a bit of a mentor at that point, but is also, I'm going to say, quite angry herself quite a lot of the time.
She does come across as quite an aggressive character in the first and second arc, where it's kind of like she's put herself in this position, but then after without giving too much away, when she is eventually rescued, sorry if you're planning on watching it for that, but she becomes quite sort of sorry for herself, and I think that kind of what drives her on to become stronger, which is it's nice to see the uniqueness of the characters in such a big anime, because there's several hundred characters.
At least,
yeah.
So yeah, as the first season then proceeds, a 5-man band in a typical fashion is introduced over time. The Lancer, second to Ichigo, introduced is a Quincy named how have I forgotten his name?
Oreo Ishida.
Yeah, of course. And he uses a bow, which is obviously his special thing, considering everybody's using swords throughout the series. He's shown as a very straight-laced character, and is therefore sort of the opposite of Ichigo, who's very brash and active.
Ichigo is much more the hot-headed character who sort of charges in, where Oryu is very much, he's calm, he's controlled, but he's very cold, and he doesn't let things get to him easily, where Ichigo, one thing will happen and that's it, he's gone, he's off, with mind raging.
Yeah. Then the next character introduced, I will say, is the heavy, named Sado Yastora, or Chad. He's a quiet and brooding individual with, to put it simply, a body made of iron, at least, considering in his sort of more introductory episode he takes a girder to the head and survives, which also kind of sets the more ludicrous nature of Bleach at times, to put it simply. The third member of their group is Orihime Inoue, who is another kind of anime cliche. She's a bit airheaded. Well, a bit's an understatement.
She's kind of like the medic of the group. She's very airhead. She's definitely like the moral support. She's also pretty much one of Bleach's many sources of fan service, which is quite sad. She's very... There's a lot of character development in there, but it's a shame they threw her into sort of the fan service route as well.
Well, I was never really fond of her character in the first place.
No, I think that's kind of what put it off a bit, was the fact that they kind of offhanded her character just to be like, oh, boobs.
Well, yeah, that's one of the characters they do that with. They then sort of discover their powers and learn to use them, and how they complement their particular character types. This then passes on to the second season as they begin to develop their powers and things like that. Immediately in the second season, a series of very important characters are then introduced. These are the Soul Reaper captains. Each one is unique in the way they handle things, their squads, and the way they fight and run their, well, as I said, their squads. This is reflective of their personalities.
Yeah.
The first one to be introduced, and probably the most important one, is Byakuya Kuchiki, which is Rukia's older brother. He is immediately portrayed as a very cold individual, and sort of the samurai spirit, I'll say.
Deadly is, I think, the best way to put it. I remember there's the scene when Ichigo meets him where they sort of pass each other and he simply walks past. You don't even see him move his hands, but he sort of just takes out Ichigo. And it's like this crazy point where you realise, holy crap, this guy is powerful. And it's
unfortunately, it seems that's all we can talk about.
It is a shame we have this time limit, because Bleach is, compared to all the other anime we've done, Bleach is the longest so far. It's several hundred episodes now.
I think the anime finished at about 360. Don't quote me on that, but the manga is still currently ongoing now. I will ask one thing before we close though. Who would you say is your favourite captain? As we had just started talking about them.
I don't know who my favourite captain would be, but I can give you my favourite character.
Okay, that's
Kisuke Urahara.
Okay, I can see why that might be the case.
You kind of call him a captain, but he's...
Well, he was a captain at one point.
He was, but he sort of goes AWOL a bit, and
well, he went rogue. He was forced to go rogue after Aizen began to make the Espada. Well, not the Espada, the Vizard even.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I just think he's such a cool character.
Yeah, I think he's alright. I'm more fond of Tessai out of those two. Tessai is his sort of right-hand man, but I personally prefer him to Urahara.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a favourite character though, I'd probably have to go for Shunsui Kyoraku. I mean, he's portrayed as sort of perverted at first and
definitely
very happy-go-lucky. But over time you realise that this sort of easygoing, very happy character is actually there so that the other captains who are all intense with the given situations and stuff find it easier to cope with them. And I think that due to how long he's been a captain, he has a sort of maternal role in the Soul Reaper captains, sort of an advisor. And I think I really like the way that, like, the respect the other captains show to him and his authority is actually portrayed, because it's not outwardly shown due to his nature, but you can tell it is definitely there. So that was our very brief talk on Bleach.
We could go on for hours and hours on Bleach, but we want to try and keep these roughly the same time as all the others.
Yeah. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us your favourite character.
Exactly. Yeah. If you ever want to hear any more about these animes, we'll try to link as much as we can in the description, or possibly even do a second video later on after anime season is finished. So have a lovely day, everyone. I've been Lewis.
I've been Will, and that was another episode of Anime.